From the very first second that evening, sunlight slipped through the narrow street and touched Daniel's tired face. Something inside him shifted, because he had not expected his life to change on a regular weekday, not while balancing a bag of groceries and holding his 7-year-old daughter, Lily's hand. Yet that was exactly the moment his 30-year-old neighbor, Emily Rivera, stepped out of her front door, brushed paint off her sleeves, looked straight at him with the kind of warmth he was no longer used to, and said a sentence that made him freeze in place, not because it was wrong or strange, but because it was unbelievably gentle. "If you want to look, just ask." Daniel stopped mid-step, heart pounding, completely thrown off, until she pointed at the wooden bookshelves lying on the ground beside her gate, half assembled, screws scattered everywhere, and continued, "I saw you peeking earlier when I dropped the board on my foot. I could tell you were worried. You can just ask if you want to help. No need to. Pretend you're not stressing out over here." And in that moment, Daniel's breath caught, not because of embarrassment, but because of how deeply her words touched a part of him he had kept buried for years, the part that felt responsible for everyone, yet afraid to step forward, the part that always did everything alone since his wife passed away, leaving him to raise Lily with nothing but silent strength and unspoken exhaustion. And now here was Emily, kind, calm, completely without judgment, speaking to him like someone who genuinely cared. He managed a soft, awkward, "I wasn't trying to stare," but she just smiled, waving it off effortlessly, saying, "You always look out for people. I've seen you help Mrs. Turner with her groceries. I've seen you rush outside when the neighbor's kid scraped his knee. I've seen you watching Lily's steps 100 times to make sure she doesn't fall. You're a good dad, Daniel. A really good one." Those words hit him harder than any storm ever could, because it had been so long since someone had called him good without expecting anything in return. And as he gently placed his grocery bag aside and stepped toward the fallen bookshelf pieces, Lily, still holding his hand, whispered sleepily, "Daddy, are we helping?" And he smiled, brushing her hair softly, whispering, "Yes, sweetheart, just a little." Emily knelt beside them, handing Daniel the instruction sheet he hadn't even realized she was struggling with. And as the three of them worked together on the grass, something subtle but life-changing happened. The silence he normally carried like a heavy coat began to ease, replaced by an unexpected comfort that made him forget how long it had been since he had laughed. And Emily, talking about her artwork, her new job at the local community center, and her clumsy attempt at building furniture, alone, kept glancing at Lily with a fondness that warmed Daniel's heart in ways he didn't understand yet. When the bookshelf finally stood solid and steady, Emily exhaled triumphantly, clapping her hands like a child celebrating a small victory, and Daniel couldn't help smiling at the pure sincerity in her joy. Then she said something even softer, even more gentle than the first line. "Thank you for helping. It actually felt really nice not doing it alone today." Daniel swallowed hard, because he knew exactly what that meant. He knew the weight of loneliness, the ache of long days with no one to talk to, the quiet nights when life felt too heavy for one set of shoulders. He nodded slowly and replied, "Yeah, it did." For a second they just stood there, a single dad with tired eyes and a kind neighbor with a hopeful smile, both of them realizing that their evenings didn't feel as empty as usual. Lily tugged Daniel's sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, she's really nice," and Emily laughed softly at the comment, bending down to give Lily a high five. Something warm and unspoken passed between them, something gentle, not romantic or complicated, just human and healing, the kind of connection two lonely lives feel when they finally meet at the right moment. As the sky shifted toward dusk and Daniel picked up Lily to take her home, Emily called out one last line, sweet, soft, full of meaning. "Daniel, you don't have to carry everything by yourself. If you ever need help, just ask." And for the first time in years, he believed someone meant it. He nodded, quietly touched in a way he couldn't put into words. And as he closed his front door behind him that night, Lily asleep in his arms and the grocery bag finally set down, he realized something beautiful. Sometimes healing doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives in a neighbor's smile, in shared laughter over scattered screws, in a sentence spoken kindly on an ordinary evening. And for a single dad who had forgotten what support felt like, that was more than enough to begin again.